All right, guys, we are back with set number 3 of the night. We are ATX VGC, and I am here alongside Woke Flossie. How you doing, Woke Flossie?
Pretty good. Excited to see some different Pokemon we got here, some different legendaries. We see that Yveltal on Mogar's team, and then, of course, the Zacian over on Zordor's team. So this is going to be different than anything we've seen so far. What do you think?
I'm really excited to watch these two duke it out. These are two of the better players, not just, I think all over the world. Mogar being from Australia and Zordor here, I believe in the States. But again, these are some seriously competitive players, and this is going to be a good example of what to expect from Series 8, I believe. What do you think of the Yveltal here on Mogar's team?
Yveltal's a really strong Pokemon already in this format, I think. With access to moves like Oblivion Wing. Of course, it can also offer Snarl support to lessen the damage output of those special attackers. And something else that's really important, with a lack of Psychic Terrain or anything to stop priority moves, it gets access to Sucker Punch, which in this case, may not be as important, but the things like a full HP Water Spouting Kyogre could be very important.
Yeah, I'm also seeing a few familiar things on Zordor's side here. Zordor's been using Zapdos in Series 7 very successfully, I'd say, as Zordor, mentioned in the past, has won Kiki's tour. I believe it was the Christmas New Year's tour with the Grim Zap setup, and I'm really excited to see the Lapras. Everyone knows that I love Lapras.
I know you do. Yeah, and interestingly enough, Mogar is rocking a rain team without a Kyogre, which is something I didn't think we'd see in Series 8, but there it is, with the Ludicolo, of course, having access to that Swift Swim ability, and the Pelipper paired alongside it with the Drizzle ability.
Yeah, pretty interesting to see the some refer to it as Peligod, as a lot of people do really stand Pelipper, but I'm not too sure about it. It's not 4 times weak to electric is kind of scary. And you have a mon like Tapu Koko setting the electric terrain, only helping your enemies. But I mean, you do have the support from the Raichu. It's going to be interesting to see how it pans out here for Mogar.
Yeah, it's true. I really do like the Yveltal in the matchup for Mogar. I mean, the Zapdos is, of course, threatening super effective damage on it, but Yveltal typically is pretty bulky and is able to take some hits.
Yeah, and you're taking the electric attacks out of it when you're scaring your opponents, and again having that Raichu, you're really only weak to rock, and I guess it would just be ice at that point, right? Or fairy would be a weakness as well.
Yep. Let's see what these players decide to do. I like Mogar's trainer card. It's up close.
Hello, Ebenezer. How are you? All right. So it looks like Zordor is going to start with Zapdos and Urshifu, trying to get things started off quickly. Potentially going to max turn 1, depending on with the Zapdos here. Mogar just setting the range straight away. Going to be the Pelipper and the Ludicolo.
Yeah, I mean, this Pelipper could opt to go for something like a Tailwind. Of course, that Zapdos is really threatening it. A lot of times we see a Pelipper with a Focus Sash, though, so if it is able to stay alive for the turn, may get a Tailwind off. Mm-hmm. The Ludicolo also threatened a little bit, not as much as the Pelipper is by the Zapdos, but could opt for something. Maybe it maxes turn 1.
And we are actually going to see a Dynamax here from Mogar straight out the gate. That's a very nice Pokeball there that it's in as well. What was that, a Safari Ball?
I think so. That camo one?
Yeah, and it's actually going to be Ludicolo. The Fake Out user is just going to Dynamax here straight turn 1. It's got Swift Swim, so I would expect it to outspeed a lot of things. Maybe Max Ice here coming from. Well, you don't want to change the terrain, so maybe not. But how else are you going to hit the Zapdos super effective? You're not going to want that Zapdos to get an attack off.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Ludicolo targets down something like the Urshifu. I didn't see what they clicked in on. Maybe just trying to get rid of that threat right away. Could be.
All right, it's just going to be a Max Geyser here from the Ludicolo, targeting down that Zapdos, doing about half health. at Dynamax, that's pretty good damage, I'd say, as it is going to be Wicked Blow here coming from Zordor's Urshifu, targeting down that Pelipper, doing pretty good damage, getting it down to 33 HP. It is going to be an Airstream turn 1 here from Zordor's Zapdos, targeting into that Cobra Berry Ludicolo.
Yeah, that's going to help it live this one. So it does take that relatively comfortably. But now the Cobra Berry's gone. The Zapdos is boosting its speed. But the Pelipper is able to get the Tailwind off. So that's further increasing this Ludicolo's speed. Got to keep pace with the Zapdos. That's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not sure how you're actually pretty familiar with Zapdos sets as well. Personally, on my end of things, when I'm running Zapdos, a lot of times I'm just going straight for that max Airstream, and a lot of times I'm really just clicking max Airstream 3 times with it.
Yep. Yeah, especially when the moves that it's carrying are likely an electric move and then possibly Heat Wave and something like Roost or Protect. Yeah, the Airstream is always a good possibility, and it looks like that really is the primary form of speed control on Zordor's team.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sucker Punch coming out this time from the Urshifu, gonna finish off that Pelipper on Mogar's side of the field. Pretty interesting there. Max Geyser coming out from the Ludicolo on Mogar's side. Targeting that Zapdos again, not gonna be quite enough to pick it off, but it does get down to the red. Airstream coming off from the Zapdos into Ludicolo, but no support from the Berry this time around. It is going to knock out the Ludicolo.
Yeah, Zordor coming away with a double KO there. That puts him in a really good position to continue to boost the speed on this Zapdos if he wants to, and or change the weather if he wants to. He has a number of options right now. Metagross and Tapu Koko in the back for Mogar. They seem to be, having already used their Dynamax, they seem to be maybe fighting from behind in this one, because of course that Urshifu is threatening super effective damage on the Metagross. And the Tapu Koko is probably not going to outspeed the Zapdos at this point, depending on what its item is. I didn't take note of that either, but let's see.
Yeah, I just want to take a quick note on Mogar's marks on Pokemon. That really cool. It's got a shiny. They have a shiny Metagross with the Metagross the Scholar, and it's
very cool.
Yeah, it's Tapu Koko the Tree Master as well. Cool. So it is going to be a Protect here coming from the Urshifu. Electro Web coming out from the Tapu Koko. Likely going to finish off the Zapdos. I saw chat mentioning that Zordor does run a little bit slower of a Zapdos spread, and we're going to see it there as this Tapu Koko is going to outspeed the +2 Zapdos.
Yeah, is it going to outspeed the +2 Urshifu? Of course, Urshifu is not threatening a whole lot of damage on this Tapu Koko. Its Fairy typing really helping out here. So it could still go for something like an Electro Web. I mean, the Wicked Blow is still going to hurt the Tapu Koko, not going to lie.
I would expect to see something like a Sucker Punch targeting down this Metagross potentially, and then maybe an Iron Head from Zordor's Metagross targeting down Mogar's Tapu Koko.
Yep. That makes sense to me. Interesting move on Mogar's Metagross there. We see the Hammer Arm, which of course is a fighting type move that lowers the opponent's, or lowers the user's speed, sorry.
Yeah. All right, so we are going to see another Electro Web coming out from Tapu Koko. Maybe trying to hide some information from Zordor for sets going forward. Wicked Blow is going to come out from the Urshifu on Zordor's side of the field, bringing that Metagross down to 7, so barely hanging on there.
But the fact that it does hang on is really interesting. A lot of times that Wicked Blow will just take Metagross right out. And so that looks to be a really important survival there, being able to KO that Urshifu on Zordor's team in return.
Yeah, absolutely. Stomping Tantrum is going to come out from Zordor's Metagross. However, into this Tapu Koko, it is going to have enough health to hold on, though. It brings it down to 51 HP.
Here's the big boy. Zacian's coming out for Zordor, and of course it has access to that Intrepid Sword boost, which is going to raise its attack 1 stage automatically by entering into battle. Very threatening to this Tapu Koko and to this Metagross.
Yeah, Hannah sends you, the Tree Master is Tapu Koko.
We see the Electro Web come out from Tapu Koko again. That's the only move it's used, right? I wonder if that gives us an indication of what its item might be. Or perhaps just content to go for the speed drops. And then Zacian's going to go for its signature move, that Behemoth Blade into the Metagross. A little bit of overkill there, but it's all good. The Metagross is going to go down. And the Stomping Tantrum is going to probably pick up this Tapu Koko. And that's game 1.
Awesome. So great playing from these two here in the first game. Cool.
What do you think about Mogar's? Yeah, what do you think about the leads Mogar might adjust, right? I don't know if that Ludicolo is just not packing Ice Beam, which of course might have hit that Zapdos a little more effectively. How do you adjust here? I'd really like to see the Yveltal personally.
Yeah, I think Mogar did a really good job. Some impressive stuff there with the Dynamax Ludicolo. The damage output on that was a little more impressive than I expected. Maybe I just don't have enough respect for Ludicolo, but the way that Mogar was playing it seems like it actually might have a chance at doing something pretty reasonable here.
Yeah, especially since sometimes we see a Life Orb on Ludicolo, and this one's not Life Orb. It's not increasing its damage output just by its EVs alone. So, that was pretty impressive damage for the Max Geyser to the Zapdos in the rain.
Absolutely. Something that we might see changed by Mogar may be like bringing that Raichu in and the Yveltal as well. I think Yveltal does pretty well against Zordor's team, especially if you take the electric attacks out of it for Zordor. It makes things a lot easier for Mogar.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
it is a tough matchup.
I like to see the Koba Berry on the Ludicolo as well, because of how often you're going to see Max Airstream in a Dynamax format. That's going to be like the most common. That's probably the most common Dynamax move if I were to guess.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm Zordor, I'm probably not changing much. It seems to be a pretty favorable matchup. You don't really want to bring the Entei to a rain matchup. Not ideal.
Mm-hmm.
But we did see that Mogar made some adjustments, so hopefully they'll be able to take this one back and tie things up.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what adjustments may have been made. All right, so we see Zordor there with the high water jeans on. Gonna go ahead with the same leads. Now noticing that that's shiny Zapdos as well. Makes a lot of sense, and it is actually going to be the Yveltal plus the Raichu here. If I'm Zordor in this situation, and likely you as well, Amy, probably just going to go for that Airstream targeting down that Raichu, and probably a Protect to prevent yourself from getting faked out.
Maybe so, yeah. And I think that if Mogar can read into that play, could really capitalize and do some good damage to the other side of the field. So let's see what they decide to do.
Yeah, and we are going to see a straight Dynamax here from Zordor. Looks like it's going to be that Zapdos one more time.
Not surprising.
Zapdos leading and then just Dynamaxing turn 1 is so much fun, I have to admit.
Yeah, especially since this time it looks like Mogar may have left. Oh, we see the Sucker Punch into Raichu, which is part Psychic type. So that is going to do a lot of damage, and the Raichu is just going to go ahead and go down. And then we see a Snarl from the Yveltal.
Yeah, pretty good Snarl there as well, getting this Zapdos down to -1. But I will admit that -1 Zapdos does still hit pretty hard. I think we're about to see it with this Airstream here. I think that's pretty good damage.
I do too, especially because it's a flying type into a flying type, right? And you've boosted your speed to, be faster than probably not the Tapu Koko. We know not than the Tapu Koko. We know the Tapu Koko is still going to outspeed, but faster than the Yveltal. Shiny Bacon Bird.
Shiny Bacon Bird. I like that. I like the white on top.
Yeah, it's a good shiny.
All
right, we see the Tapu Koko.
Mogar picking their moves pretty quickly here.
Yeah.
Oh, but not for the. Never mind.
It's interesting. It looks like, I mean, it's a mixed Yveltal with foul play instead of something like Dark Pulse. I wonder how it's EV trained, because of course you've got the special move Snarl, which is not really intended to do a whole lot of damage probably, but just to lower that special attack. We do see the Dynamax coming from Mogar's side of the field. I gotta believe it is that Yveltal.
No, I think it's actually going to be this Tapu Koko here.
Oh.
In the Master Ball too. That's a pretty cool.
And I have a bad habit of not looking at the moves when they're selecting them. Well, I don't really want to know. I kind of want to be surprised, you know?
I try not to, but I just kind of called it. So the Wicked Blow is going to come out from Urshifu, targeting down this maxed Tapu Koko, doing about 25%, maybe 30 actually. Max Flare coming out from this Zapdos. Again, targeting down this Tapu Koko, trying to do as much damage as possible to this. And I agree with that because Tapu Koko is a threat to Zordor here. Airstream going to come out, targeting into Zordor's Urshifu. Not going to be enough to pick it off, but it is going to get that speed boost. Trying to keep up with that Zapdos, as you've mentioned before. And now I believe it is Yveltal's turn to go, and it's going to Snarl here. Not quite going to do enough damage to pick off that Urshifu, but once again lowering that Zapdos's special attack. So very good getting that Zapdos to, I believe it's -2, might be -3.
Yeah, we see in the chat too, and I just kind of thought about this as well, Gil, is that there's no Oblivion Wings on this Yveltal, which means it doesn't have an opportunity to go for that max airstream like the Tapu Koko does. So clearly this was fully invested in the dark moves, right? It's got the black glasses on, or the dark glasses, whatever they're called, and then of course the ability, the dark aura, which boosts the power of those dark type moves, but no Oblivion Wing, which is a flying type move that also allows Yveltal to heal back some HP on doing damage. It's like a flying type Giga Drain, if you will. So I'm surprised not to see that on this Yveltal. But we do see the Metagross come in. Yeah,
so Metagross does come in for that Yveltal. Urshifu going for that Sucker Punch into the Yveltal slot, not going to go off, and the Airstream from Tapu Koko going to go ahead and get that speed boost and also get rid of one of Zordor's Pokemon, and being that Urshifu.
Yep. I'm certain, however, we see the Max Lightning go into the Metagross. Not going to do a whole lot of damage here, especially after those couple of Snarls. So that Metagross is going to stick around for sure. That's perhaps what the Max Flare might have been meant for on the last turn, maybe thinking about a switch in. But now the Metagross is on the field, ready to do some damage. The Tapu Koko has boosted the speed of the Metagross. The Urshifu is gone, but I gotta believe that Zacian is in the back for Zordor. Oh, there it is. Sorry, it's already out.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing to kind of note about Mogar's Yveltal here, it kind of feels more like they're using their legend as more of a support Pokemon, like something that you don't really want to Dynamax, and I think that's pretty cool, as it really did its job, and then it switches out. Pretty interesting there. Yeah, so if you use your legend as a support, you're gonna want to use Pokemon like Tapu Koko and Metagross, where you can really do tons of damage with those and really get good options from them out of your Dynamax. As we're gonna see another Airstream come from this Tapu Koko into Zordor's Zacian, getting that speed boost.
And we did see last time that Metagross is weakness policy. So if that Zapdos decides to go for something like a Heat Wave at -2, we're just going to see the Roost this turn. But if the Zapdos does decide to Heat Wave, that Metagross is going to live and have a +2 weakness policy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so one interesting thing there about that Roost clears away the flying typing. Is that for the remainder of the turn, or does that continue for the next turn?
No, it's just that turn. So
it's now a flying type again.
Right.
Okay. So I was gonna say one cool thing is this Metagross could just go for like an Earthquake or something, but you don't want to do that because you're gonna destroy
your own Koko.
Yeah.
Yep.
And ATX VGC in the chat saying, "Whoa, big flinch!" And yes, that was absolutely a big flinch, as this Zacian not being able to attack means that Mogar still has a chance with this Tapu Koko.
Yep, and it's the fastest thing on the field right now, so it can threaten some damage put down here. And remember that Mogar, they still have that Yveltal in the back. And, foul play and snarl from an Yveltal is nothing to scoff at.
Oh, and Zapdos getting the dodge from the Electroweb here. Also, we should mention that the Metagross goes for Protect this time around, doing almost chip damage into the Zacian. Thunderbolt actually going into the Tapu Koko, doing merely chip damage to that as well. And it's a double into Mogar's Tapu Koko. I believe this should be the end of the Tapu Koko.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to live that Behemoth Blade. It's a super effective move against it, and it's just a really strong Pokemon. So now Yveltal comes back in next to the Metagross.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so now this Metagross is somewhat free to just go for an Earthquake.
Yeah, and remember that Foul Play is an interesting move too, because it's based off of the attack stat of the Pokemon that you're hitting. So with that Intrepid Sword attack boost that the Zacian got, even though it's not a very effective move, it's going to be doing more damage than you might think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Looks like Mogar just opting for the Snarl here. Zacian is going to go for the Protect, so Snarl being a really good option in this situation. Earthquake going to come from the Metagross. Not going to do any damage to anything this time around. Yveltal not getting the effect. Thunderbolt coming out this time from the Zapdos. Oh my goodness, that had to have been a crit. It was not a crit. Wow.
At -2, yeah, that's what it did. The Snarl comes out, does a good little chunk to Zapdos, going to drop that special attack yet again.
That was some big damage coming from that. I know it's super effective damage, but oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's probably max Modest if I were to guess.
Could be.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we know it's slower, so its speed investment has to be going somewhere. I run max speed Timid, just because I really like being fast.
Got it.
You don't have to. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to do that. You know that.
Yeah, I prefer the bulkier variant that can pick up the speed boost with the Airstreams. Earthquake going to come out from the Metagross after the Yveltal Protect. It is not going to be enough to pick up the Zacian. Zapdos is going to Thunderbolt into the Yveltal, which of course has Protected, and the Sacred Sword is going to go into Metagross, but still not enough to finish it off.
Absolutely. It looks like Mogar needs to be very careful about what they're choosing here, as their back's kind of up to the wall. 3v2, and both of their Pokemon are at low health. A combined 90 HP remaining.
Remember, though, that Yveltal does have access to Sucker Punch. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Zacian Protect here, though. So maybe targeting down that Zapdos might be the call.
I still think that's a pretty good play, as we don't see Protect come from the Zacian here. Sucker Punch does so much damage. Gonna be enough with the combination of the Iron Head crit. I don't believe the crit mattered, but we do see Static come out from the Zapdos. This Metagross is now paralyzed.
Static, that's one of the things that makes Zapdos so good, is that ability. And of course, this next Sacred Sword is going to be enough to finish off the Metagross, and now it is Yveltal versus the world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of cool you bring up the Static being so cool on Zapdos, because in the past formats, in the past years, it's been illegal, it's been banned. So you were stuck to only using Pressure, and I'm going to be honest, I used the heck out of Zapdos back in the day.
Yeah, it's still good with Pressure, but Static I think is so good.
Absolutely, and I actually see the Static a ton too. This Entei is just going to outspeed Mogar's Yveltal, and that is going to be the end of the set here. So very fun set from these two players, and we're going to see Zacian go ahead and get the win here for Zordor as well. I think the Zapdos Pressure just did so much. I'm going to be honest, a little disappointed that I didn't get to see the Lapras, but I can't be surprised when you see two electric types on Mogar's side of the field, and Mogar's handle is Mogar Chew, so
Yeah. And that's one thing I think is so important about Series 8, at least so far, is that with one legendary as opposed to two, as we've seen in previous formats, that one legendary you choose is sometimes going to make or break your entire set, right? Like if you go into a set and you have a bad matchup, and that legendary isn't like going to be able to pull its weight against the things on the other team, it really becomes difficult to win those kind of matches.